Look at the Antwerp run for the Imperial lads, and I always think that it was characterized by them as smacking about some very inexperienced rosters. And when you talk about inexperience for finalists, this is their first LAN as a unit. So this is going to be a first run to forget, I feel like, in this opening map. I'm riding Imperial all the way. Finest on the T side start of things, already losing their first fall and full shots out of the round.
Yeah, very quick out for the long take there from Finest, being able to get Anarkes down towards a pit, get a twist on a jump up just to spot if anyone's out towards that car position. And for Imperial, knowing they got that opening fight, they can actually play this very retake heavy. They've got nades for both Fallen and Vinny, and they've got the kit to work with.
Continuous flashes coming in from the man himself. FNX going to back his main man up. Smokes up to the cross, and Twist to be able to get the cross pretty effectively. They'll tap through those pistols, and then they can catch something through the smoke. Unable to do so, though. Fur back at Gandalf. Be waiting for Finest to make their moves in. Bomb can go down safe. At default, that's the right call.
And they've got to deal with that player out towards Get Right, though. That's Fur. Finally been isolated out to the open and Goosh down. Twister's going to find the pick.
4 versus 4, making it 4 on 3 as Kriaz and Plestin also chime in. And just like that, Finest are taking the fight back to Imperial, but so's Vinny. Tapping his way through, getting 2 back-to-back heads, but not able to get the next 2 he needs to win the pistol. It's going to go the way of Finest.
Now you can hear there up on screen the coach, Bogdan, the newer guy that comes through from the Finest side. What I think's fascinating is he's only coached Polish teams. He's done Aves, he's done Honorus, he's done Illuminar. Now he's getting a bit of a taste here on Finest, and I mean, there's not even a Polish player. You'd think, oh, maybe there's some connection somewhere. He's having a stint in EU.
No, I mean, it's such a weird sort of dynamic as a result. I mean, to be fair, it is an international roster with such a mix of players, and it is core Sweden to be credit, but they've got such a diverse sort of group of players in that sort of sense. So seeing how that's going to impact the dynamics around the Finest camp, who have constantly been known for chopping and changing players as well. Like, it doesn't surprise me they'd bring in a coach a few days before LAN, but that's a bit of a difference from what we've seen so far this year. These guys haven't made a roster change in 3 months.
Do you know what's insane too about Finest? We always talk about the tier 2 teams grinding events, playing every event under the sun, playing as many officials as possible. They've played 3 best of ones this entire year. How has that happened? They played like hundreds, right, of maps when it's in best of 3 contexts, but not in best of 1s. And for Imperial, they've played 18 so far this year.
Yeah, and as a result, you can sort of take a look at things and consider what the instability of those best of 1 results could mean. I mean, it could also apply the vice versa way for Imperial, because we all know that best of 1s are super unpredictable, even at the best of times, even at the best of tournaments. So it is one of those things that, unlike the EG side, which you talked about earlier, they've only lost 4 best of 1s now over the course of this year. Like, you haven't got the same sort of results to pull from when it comes to that unpredictable nature of Finest, but at least they've got that good start, right? They got that pistol down by a man so early, Storm back on the A side, able to get those trades and able to get back control of the situation. If they can continue to do that, then this map could still be positive for them. Pavlos mentioned it over on the desk, Dust 2, it is their home turf.
Well, they played it last night. We actually saw them pick it against the 30th best ranked team in the world of Sprout. They ended up getting a 13-16 loss on Dust 2, 11-4 up on the T side, struggled on their CT side. So now I start wondering, Jay, is that going to be a carry-on? I'm sure they would have had a conversation. I'm sure they would have been able to try and see, okay, we know our T side's solid, we'll work on the City side later on. They've got to bring that come this game here.
Look, if they're going to float it in against a team like Imperial, you must imagine that there must be some amount of confidence in this map-up. And in general, like, obviously we saw them play it last night, but what's their map of Dust 2 like in the tier 2 teams that they play?
It's not bad, mate. It's a pretty good map. It's their second highest pick map in the pool. So you keep that in mind to think, okay, they actually pick Dust 2 quite a lot. They play it quite heavily. This is a comfortable territory. The uncomfortable nature is the team they're playing.
Absolutely. Again, experience trumps all in the Imperial side, and let's see whether that experience will come to the fold against the likes of Finest. We've got Plestin first up and out into the long control. Seeing no CTs, because there's no CTs here. Not in long, not in A, not in this entire half of the map. In fact, not even anywhere outside of the B site.
And just knowing that there's a few players here on Finest that have never played a LAN outside of their own country. That comes through from Anarkes, that comes through on players like Shox, that comes from Plestin as well. That all of those guys, maybe they've played on a Swedish LAN, or they've played in an Israeli LAN, or an Estonian LAN. They've never played on a European LAN in a European team.
Chance available for them to prove themselves to the world. Again, the world is their oyster for Finest today, and over the course of the rest of the weekend. Open site, that's definitely their oyster, one to take. Nothing that the Imperial side can challenge, and it's an eco-based as they haven't invested that much at all. USPs brought forward and mowed down as you would expect. At least 1 kill goes the way of Bolts. That's a slight positive entity. If they can get that AK, that'd be even better, but they're just going to suppress with the util. The burst fire from Twist should be able to get that weapon back. Shox and Lee will look for it. Make sure that all the main rifles stay in for the Finest side. Not much for Imperial in this one, 2-0 start, and the guns can come through safely.
And if you're maybe not too familiar with Finest, remember Israeli Org used to have an Israeli team for a very long portion of time, and it did take a little while. I mean, we certainly saw last year how many roster changes had come through from the team. One of the highest in all of Tier 2, you'd have to say, in Europe, of how many chopping and changings we had of that rotating door. But it feels like finally they've cracked a 5-man lineup that they're satisfied with, because we haven't seen a roster change for quite a while.
And they still kept those Israeli roots as well in Anarkhez.
Yeah, that's very true.
Doing work right now, one of a handful of Israeli players who were doing decently on the international stage. Kriaz and Twist to be the first couple of players involved for the opening duels of Finest. The Kriaz to fall to the likes of Fur to get traded back immediately. A 4-on-4 is game. With long control for Finest, they're not tentative on taking all sorts of control though. They'll creep their way up slowly to the corner.
Just simplicity with that long take. Get the long corner smoke down, flash high over the top, trade 1-for-1, shocks out for mid, should get caught. That's a very good pick coming through from Vinny. And now with the lurk dealt with, it falls down to the long players to make action.
Yeah, great stuff. At the advantage of Imperial once again. The utility is being set up, however, again, they've got long house control, they've got top long control. Smoke to the cross, it's worked in the pistol, but they've got an advanced angle for Fallen, and he can take Pleston back. So now left to Twist and Anarkhez here. Twist the forward man. He has got Fallen on low HP, and FNX with his back turn makes it an easy frag. Vinny with a fast response, so it's all left to Twist. And he's not going to make much happen here. Fallen with the final frag of the round in the first round for Imperial.
And I think that really just showed how important that mid kill was to come in for Vinny. First of all, it dealt with the lurk, and second off, it just gave a lot of information. It realized that the A players needed to buckle in. They knew that the long take was going to come in. You saw Fallen playing very defensive, playing around the util, a lot of spam coming through, and then even that pounce, that slight acceleration of the flash through the smoke, a lot of distraction being pulled up there on A from Imperial.
It's a good start for them. Again, shut down the rifles with rifles. There'll be a rebuy back for Finest, expecting some sort of mid play, but there is no AWP to challenge the mid doors. They'll sit passive in these spawn and suicide angles, but see nothing of the CT side. Imperial have their standard defensive setup, a 1-2-2. It's got bolts on that B side, the most exploitable part of the map right now.
I haven't seen any walkout towards that upper tunnels over towards B. Haven't really seen much mid pressure other than that last round. Fur gonna get flashed in, well done, but Shox actually doesn't peek with it. They were trying to see if they could bait at least some gunfire, and they actually didn't get anything, so they might not know he's there.
Yeah, Flash is going over as they continue to try to look forward in the CT forces. Twist taking angles as Imperial try and take stock in the defense, seeing nothing so far. They are hearing footsteps though, that should be some info gained.
And they're draining a fair amount of util to follow Fur with this HE placement. This could be chunky.
Not that much, unfortunately. Finest back up. The right call at the right time, taking no damage. They need to start thinking about the execution. They've only got this mid control.
Yeah, Bolts is one of the defenders over towards B and only has a smoke, so get a couple of smokes down towards that right-hand side. And now there's not even a mid player, so Finest have got a lot of map control for free.
Shox to be isolated, two utility thrown down, the two smokes in at the CT spawn. Two players to deal with on the B side, all sorts of twos, 20 seconds on the clock. Vinny executes two individuals. Twist and Anarkhez get lost as the shocks go down. And two left here for the Finest camp, but they've been shut down in this round. Imperial will take their second. They've got no choice but to save here in Kriaz and Pleston. And Pleston doesn't even have a rifle as well.
Very difficult to make anything happen. Try and see if he could fight out a duel towards the city spawn. Fur might even drop him after time. That could be huge, just decimating the economy entirely. Pleston, does he stay alive? Oh, just. Okay, just stays alive. Disappointing round as a whole, though, from Finest. When you think about the way that they exploited open mid, they've got a lurk in the upper tunnels, they're trying to put pressure down onto the B-side anchors where Bolts only had a smoke and a flash. They actually just really couldn't find an entry on the site. They couldn't trade Vinny either at the car. Yeah, they played that round perfectly up until the execution. Default was right there. They avoided the utility in the counteraction. They gave no jewels up to Imperial. They gave very little info up to Imperial. Even then, it was a bait and switch with the jump faced out towards shore. But that baited in the nades, so again, it was perfect play up until they tried to storm the B site. From there, it all falls apart. Tech9 will stay in, the AK, of course, saved by Kriaz. A scout brought down by Anarkhez will try to do something.
The AK at first, standing with you two. We didn't see the players incoming. Plesson can get that kill. Look towards the ace like where Fallen is standing by to receive them. Gets his double. Shocks trades. FNX can look out of the longhouse dealing with Kriaz. That one AK, but Twist Eagle chimes back into evens. Bomb will go down.
This is an excellent force buy so far, but now they've really got to deliver up in the post plant. Try and slow it down. Get the rifle in a good position.
Seen the head for FNX, but can't connect the shot. Twist still watching out with his pistol in play, and he'll get a headshot as will Shocks. And that will be a steal for Finest to force investment. It works well. They maintain the lead.
That's a classic that we would say we see in the Pinnacle Cups online, right? Some of those force buys, light on investment, don't have a lot to work with, and Finest are no strangers to them. They've played in the last 2 Pinnacle Cups, the 4th one in which was the one that got them here to the event, winning it entirely. Dust 2, last map. 3rd map in the best of 3 series against Eternal Fire in the grand finals, 16-14. It was a close one.
The thing as well, they beat Eternal Fire, right? Like, they've been to the major, and although there wasn't the greatest run of the major, that's still a powerful team, and in the online space especially, they do wonders.
Hey, they beat Spirit in the first round. They 2-0'd Spirit. Up there from Fur, make the info play, dip in, dip out, get out of there immediately, hold on to the man advantage. Finest have been consistently targeting this long control, and Imperial aren't really giving them too much of a fight at long. Instead, they're giving the freedom for them to take it for free.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the pistol, they've been pretty good at defending from the back of the smokes, one of which will go down, and Fallen actually might press forward of it. Secondary smoke comes out in the end. That's actually a flashbang, excuse me. I don't know where that second smoke landed. It might not even have been thrown. And Akez lurks forward, takes some damage, sees at least 2 players looking for Fur here on the short position, runs out of ammo, and gets even more tagged up to 4 HP. Kriaz is forced to respond as the CTs continue to hold their own. Boost up for the M4, sees the head of Shocks, drops that bomb. Plesson took some tags as well. Fur, the utility coming in with that HE. Kriaz is forced to try and bag, and the bomb will get planted in the end.
Oh, Plesson's got to get one. Surely try and strike out from the car, and he's got Kriaz on the side.
2v2, sees the head of Bolts, but is unable to do much with it. It's all Kriaz now. On for the 4K, swings out, sees one, but just can't get the head he needs. And Imperial will equalize at 3-3.
Yeah, definitely a scrappy round there from Finest, and it comes down to a situation where I think they wanted to peek before that second smoke goes down. Get Anakez in a position to maybe catch one of the CT players with a knife out or over in the open. He doesn't quite find that connection to the short angle, and because of that, they struggled to find composure on the side. Even Plesson, for him to get a 1-for-1 in that car, he did as much as he could. It came down to Kriaz. The clutch doesn't come in, and we're tied up at 3 apiece.
Indeed we are, keeping pace. Finest might have gained the early lead, but Imperial are not willing to let them get away with it. T-side reduced to pistols now. The Deagle's in for Pleston and Shock, saving for the guns. They got that bomb plant bonus, so the money line still looks decent. If they invest here, they lose the chance to get the AWP out. Kriaz is at 4,300, so he'll bring that weapon to the fold.
Imperial trying to see if they could put some nades in towards that longhouse. Overall, from Finest, you're looking for some exploitations. They know that, obviously, there was aggression towards top mid come the last round. Want to try and see if they can find some picks, make it as damaging as possible.
The lean forward for now. Does get tagged up, 40 HP. Matches in for him and Vinny as they'll lean together, but the teams have taken the advantage that they've had to force those players out of position, take their position up on short. Try play in towards the A site. Shocks, however, caught by the backstab of FNX and Fallen again with the lineups, makes it a triple. Fur with his own frag. I mean, no major casualties, no major damage being done to Imperial here. All 5 alive, and the pistols get locked out.
And when we think about goals, expectations, something that we went into detail with Evil Geniuses for Finest, they've just made top 30 on HLTV. That's got to be a massive goal for a team like that, because we've always looked at Finest and said, all right, they're a decent contender, but when's that next step? Getting that higher end of Tier 2 is very difficult, and for Finest, this sort of event, knowing it's their first international LAN, could be that opportunity to use some of the experience of not only Twist, but the Tier 2 players, and put it in this sort of an environment.
I do feel like there's a level of inflation to that top 30 position for Finest,
possibly,
right? Because they did win a Pinnacle Cup, but the tournaments prior to that point weren't exactly 100% there.
That is true.
A lot of failed open qualifiers. They came last place in Challenger. So it's not like they've had the best of performances leading into this tournament, which is the one thing that has me concerned. And the reason why the desk was saying they're probably the weakest team in show.
Sometimes you need the run, though, and I think we've seen that before. We saw it in the Pinnacle Cup, the fact that you play Spirit, Tyloo, Movistar Riders, Eternal Fire, all decent teams there in the playoffs and still come through on top. Now gives yourself a bit of a hope, a bit of a glimmer. Kriaz striking out towards Long, just spamming through that Long smoke.
Hell of a way to kick off the 8th round. They're going to continue with that aggression. Twist out towards the mid door. Vinny has other plans. Makes it a double. Looking for the triple, in fact. Danakes drops, and so does Kriaz, so does Shox. That is decimation from Imperial.
Come on. Come on, you got to rip in a little bit there and think, okay, Kriaz got you an opportunity, got you a strikeout towards Long. Where's the util? It's so dry. They thought as if because there was 2 players towards Long that they could have caught a timing. As soon as Twist goes down, it's individual faces. It's offering up jewels. There's no util in the matter. And Finest have got to be kicking themselves because that was such a great start to the round by Kriaz.
An opening frag that you don't lose off the back of usually. Take that longhouse control, go from there, but go back into mid and go back into the worst player possible, it feels like. And back to the pistols is where Finest will be. Not like it stopped Pleston. The eagle shot on Fur. FNX with 2 back on the turn. Flash forward in towards that mid control, aware of their progress up towards Catwalk. Still, Bolts is going to hold his own. Anakez will get a trade. Does make it a 2-on-3, so Imperial haven't gotten away completely unscathed. Anakez will try cross with the bomb, try and make his way up towards the side, but it's been marked by the AWP, so it's all Kriaz. Deagle in hand for the clutch.
And this is where I think we see the momentum shift, where Imperial start coming into their own, keeping more players alive, making the rounds more deadly. Kriaz just trying to isolate a fight with the Deagle. They get away with a couple of kills, so they make it slightly expensive. As an overall picture, though, you think about what Imperial are bringing to the table, and it's looking good so far.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, they lost Pistol, they lost the Anti-Ecos, they were down 0-2, they're now up 6-3. At least from a scoreline perspective, looks very positive.
Yeah, again, to maintain control of the situation when they lost that early lead and then to gain it back above the Finest side. Everything played perfectly there for Imperial to lead them into this position now with their 3 rounds ahead. Pleston, first man out, sees 1 player. Again, into the longhouse, they'll look to go. The nades will do some damage towards him, they're aware. Incendiaries are counteracted by the smokes put down by the T-side line, so Pleston can escape with his life.
Now, this is one of the first times they've been a little bit more on the back foot with the long take first. Still trying to see if he can spam out to the back of the blue bin. Pleston's going.
Reaggressing, trying to look for his man and gets that kill. Has FNX with a higher HP. Jump face round the corner to try bait in some sort of shot, maybe for an AWP, which will get here. 3 players still on long. Mid and B are very exposed on the CT defense.
Now, they could retake this long control if they really wanted to. And Kriaz and Pleston have got a decent crossfire to deal with the CTs, even the molly to car.
They're at one angle. How does Pleston face this? How does he survive against both FNX and Vinny? Well, apparently they don't. Anakez, Pleston, Kriaz running into the meat grinder. Just like that, Imperial get back control. Nades will be sent down to the site as Twist attacks from short, but the bomb's been dropped at long. Shox can strike on Bolts at least, clear up the 1 rotator, but still got to deal with that long force. 40 seconds to do it.
God, this is done. There's no way you can recover this round. It's already been smoked off. You probably just have to try and back off and save. It's so difficult to recover it. And for Imperial's sake, it just felt as if they were in the right position at the right time. There wasn't a crazy amount of util for Finest to work with, but at the same point, Jay, it's very dry in some of these situations.
Again, overwhelming from the Imperial side, and you mentioned how they haven't really challenged the long control. They've been giving that up to Finest quite a lot. The 1 round where they do force forward with the majority of their players, they just wreck them. Again, force Shox and Twist to go for the save, a 7th to the board of Imperial. I believe that's 5 rounds in a row as well. Finest. Definitely the opposite of their namesake right now. Things are very not fun.
No, and we start having to look at certain individuals. Where is Anakez? We know he has been a very, very capable AWPer in the Tier 2 scene. We saw him on the Secret team with Duran Flatru and Synopsy there. We saw him in Hellraisers playing with the CIS team, Lingby Vikings for a little bit, and he's their highest rated player on Dust 2, averages a 1.17 rating, 12 maps played in the last 3 months, and as of right now, you need him at the helm. He's only managed 1 kill, Jay.
A tactical timeout for Finest to figure out how they can enable him or what else they can do to try and outplay the opposition. Imperial most certainly are looking like they're all right. Discussion definitely feels tense over in that side. A lot of emphasis on that long control, right? And again, that was the key point that Finest were able to utilize, that they were able to get so much long control and play on the pistol because of that. Is that the angle they should go with here, Dweg?
Well, the angle could be, okay, what do we need to change and adjust with our adaptability of taking the long control? But if they are really taking it and there's not really much we can do against it, do we go quicker mid? I mean, so far their mid takes have unfortunately not been that successful, but at the same time, throw a little bit more utility behind it and it could be.
They have guns for this round, so they can definitely do whatever they want to. No limitations of firepower, all down to the execution here for Finest. And this is the most passive that we've seen them play. All held outside along for 4 individuals. One man lurking in the lower tunnels. But no contact and no aggressive face. It's a similar story for Imperial.
Yeah, even for FNX, he's going to have to get forced back. He's the only player at long without any util now. Vinny waiting for a cross or a slight jiggle of information. Get those double AWPs out and try and get him striking.
Footstep purge. Shock's going to bait in those shots. Whereas the AWP is out towards mid, the smokes go down towards the long corner. Imperial fall back and regroup as Finest just fall away. They've made a lot of noise, drawn a lot of attention. They're not going to do anything with it, though.
The issue is, now look at what's remaining. You've got a single smoke, and that is it for Finest. They're going to have to dig deep and hit hard. In a round like this, you need your individuals to really step up. Your trading game's got to be on point, and even leaning back out towards the B site. As soon as Bolts gets contact, he can just re-smoke off the upper tunnels.
He's going to do that right now here. Maybe a little bit premature. Got one more smoke on further. He could just quickly peek back in with the support now of Vinny, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Bolster that B site. So this smoke towards doors is going to be pretty useless. Fur with a nade. Ready to receive. Puts that up to position as Blessing strikes on Bolt, and that's a lot of damage being done. The Molotov might just tear them up. Fur does so. A 4-on-4 situation, 15 seconds to go back in with another re-smoke. FNX continuing with the backstab. They have no idea, and First still knocking them down. FNX deals with Kriaz, and Shox is left out towards mid, caught off on the lurk. With the main force dying, there is nothing he can do.
They've been outclassed by experience, and right there, they're not baiting enough util. Because they showed long presence and they didn't show anything in mid, they didn't find enough out of Shox on the lurk, you're not drawing the util. There's, what, 40-odd seconds left on the clock? A re-smoke goes down from the backside player of Bolts, and then, like you mentioned, Fur's got the util. He's got a smoke, he's got a HE, he's got an incendiary. There is so much util on that mid player that they end up just cancelling. Twist gets run out, and everybody else is thinking, do we go? Do we go back? Because you're limited on the time, you're also limited on the options.
Mowed down again. Once again, they try and play into the CT side, and once again, they just get hit hard by the M4s. Already, Vinny has taken Pleston's life. Finest didn't have much to work with in this round to begin with, but now it's even less. Scout thrown over to Anakez to get something, anything out of him.
Vinny been very consistent so far out from this mid-control, always being a nuisance. A very capable secondary AWPer, that hybrid entity that Imperial can work with, especially on a map like Dust 2. And it's so passive right now for Imperial. Even these upgraded ecos are just trying to create a jewel.
Smokes are set, it's fallen, wins the sniper battle. Doubles up on Twist. Makes it look easy as well. Incendiary's held back, nades back, Kriaz leaning forward, Molotov's sent down, and he'll just continue to jump face forward. Shox with the AK. Strike. Lose a lot of HP for his own money, and eventually will fall to the trade. The scout Kriaz doesn't get much, doesn't get anything.
And 9 on the board for Imperial, and for Finest, we've obviously seen a fair amount of adaptation. The entry frags have been slightly uneasy. And when you just think about, not even from the scoreline perspective, but that shift, that first maybe 4-5 rounds of the game felt very close, felt very competitive. These last handful of rounds have been anything but that, completely the opposite.
And in general, the streak has just continued. Imperial, 6 rounds on the trot, I believe. Finest. They're certainly in trouble. Kriaz does at least strike first on FNX. Fur can get the responsive. Just immediately then dipping in, dipping out, falling back to position, ready to receive them. Finest actually going to give chase this time. The 3 players are looking the wrong way, and Twist gets nothing for it. The AWP just falling, gets 2, wins the AWP battle against Anakez, And it's disaster for Finest again.
Oh my goodness, what a round. And one moment we didn't even capture was Bolts clearing the upper tunnels. There was so much information right there from Imperial of, oh, it's got to be a long take, and there's a slight timing. Yeah, Bolts clears out the upper tunnels. They don't realize there's a short commitment, and for Finest, they buckle it. That is the chance. That is the window. And when you're facing a team like Imperial, you've got to take that opportunity. Great AWPing coming out from Fallen, just continuing to rail off the shots and find the connections.
That's so disappointing as well, because all three players from Imperial were looking up long. They thought short was completely safe. Oh, that nade doesn't quite get shots on this occasion. The follow-up should do. Oh, also not. Imperial continuing to charge forward. They do lose that opening fight against Danakez. So again, the hand cannon's brought up as he looks like he's had enough. Can he get enough in this round?
And they've done some damage out to Vinny towards the bottom of mid-control, and even that HE not bouncing back, at least the incendiary is to slow it down. Anakez to work with the M4A1S. This is promising. They've got to find some more, though.
Yeah, 5-on-4, still with a player being low HP for Shocks. There are two tagged up individuals from Imperial, and Vinny is on a similar line towards Shocks. Both players on the sniper as well. The AWP can do one better. Finest set utility up to go towards the mid to be play. I've got players up on the split as well. Anakez leaning in with Twist. That smoke about to fade. Spot 2, again struggle with the spray, again struggle with the kill. Get caught up on your teammates. Another lineup for Bolts who gets a 1, a 2, a 3. And everybody just... It's again the same story for Finest, right? They have that moment, they have that opportunity. At least Kriaz can try to recover it. I think Bolts might have heard the man. He certainly has now and will get overwhelmed, but he's the last player left for the T side. Got to go back for the bomb in the tunnels, and they'll just charge him from here. AWP is at least recovered. Can you get the kill? I don't think so.
Not to be. Kriaz not bad with the AWP, but in a situation like that, you're just trying to present the fights. And as an overall marker, I think the issue that we're seeing from Finest is hesitation. And that might be the inexperience to play on LAN, to be in this sort of an environment, is that you've got Anakez wanting to cancel, but then the rest of the team wanting to go. And it's those slight moments of hesitation where you can just get capitalized on. You think about the util point, Bolts had nothing. He had a HE and that was it. Even his teammate that was out towards the doors that fell had hardly anything either. That was one of the rare cases that the B site players did not have mass util. And for Imperial, Bolts just makes that look easy when really it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, another tactical called in by Finest, and what was set to be, at least over on Pinnacle, a dead set even match turns to a one-sided affair. 11-3. Look at that big wall of blue on the top of your screen as well. Like, it really has been a dominating affair.
Yeah. No, it has, and they've been outclassed, and it does separate the strong from the weak in the best of ones, and it definitely feels as if, other than the opening game that we had to start off the day, we have seen some stompers. Bolts putting in some early util, even looking to follow, maybe get further aggressive behind the util.
And 4 in, and Flexen out, and Twist out as well. Shocks with a trade. Smokes will come down, but the nades will come back and respond, and Vinny will try and hold the defensive. Smokes will block off vision for the T side at least. He's got a good read onto where they're playing from. Spot Anakez stops for the trade. As Kriaz has fallen, it's all left to Shocks to ace clutch this round. It will be the most magical ace if he can pull it off. But I have my doubts here. First, so close.
Get a smoke down, try and buy some more cover. He needs fights. And just with Imperial, knowing that there's still 3 alive, they can slow this down completely.
Flash in, trying to indicate they're going to go for the entry. Shocks will challenge Fallen and lose it. Great kill for him. Brilliant stuff in general for Imperial. The defensive held, the retake held. When you have a 1 versus 3 like that, it's so difficult to win it. He was already tagged in the interim, so even if you faced against one of the rifles, it's likely that kill would have gone the way of Imperial anyway.
And we could sit here and say, oh, there's been some chances, we've seen some very good moments. There has been from Finest, but you also need to look at it from the other point of view and think Imperial were just class. They really played well in that first half. Once they got that streak going and they had the confidence behind them, they played as a unit. They peaked off each other really well. They were multi-fragging. Their util usage was on point. And we just saw a lot of stacks coming involved. Finest not getting the players fired up and ready to go. And just knowing the start of this match, I thought we'd get more from Finest.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too. I thought so too. That's not been the case though, unfortunately, has it? 12-3 and a lot of work to do on the CT side. A ridiculous comeback for Finest. One that I doubt they can pull off. USP is charging up. Vinny, pistol pulled in Ready for the stack angle, ready to receive the T-side members. Furkin onto Flexen, deals with him. Effective, good start.
A desperation coming through from Finest, realizing, okay, we need an info play. We need something to strike out towards long. Even Fur's just pulling more distraction and deals with Kriaz. That keeps the A site open, while the rest of the T's are still in the upper tunnel.
It's not getting much better, is it? Oh, disaster. Oh, disaster. Taps the shocks. Spots another. Unable to get the kills against them. Twisted 19 HP. Imperial just counter-rotate back into a very open A-bomb site. Twister with the next player on the defensive, but again, he's so low, and he's the only man that's there. Anakez will look to join him. Taps forward, need a kill, not going to get it. Fur will get dropped by Anakez at least, who doubles up. Finally, some big moments from him at last. A 2 versus 3 still have to deal with. And the block of Vinny trying to strike Anakez with another good headshot. Needs to get Fallen next, unable to do so. Shocks now, sandwiched between the last 2 players of the T-side forces. Sees Fallen's head, jump facing, challenging Bolts. Needs the one tap desperately, but he's just not going to get it. And Imperial will win the pistol regardless.
That's an incredible effort coming through from Anakez. There really was not a lot of positives in that round. The fact that you've lost your 2 side A players as quickly as it happened, he had to try and make something magical. He finds 3, it's still not enough. And for Imperial, it really felt as if the idea in the pistol was sell the distraction out to long, try and do some damage, we're going to end up on B. What they end up finding is they haven't over-rotated. So, okay, we've got the Goosh down in mid, let's work with the advantages we already found and make our way over to A instead.
You've got a force by Finest. No choice in the matter. No way they can really take control if they don't. Now play it slow on the Imperial side, knowing that this could be the momentum shift for Finest all the same. All they got to do is lock down the round, make it confident, give it no room to breathe.
Imperial just trying to see if they can continue to put the pressure on, keep the streak going. Even Twist getting down towards an aggressive position from the short position. And Pleston out from mid. If they can pull a distraction and try and force the T's out to mid, it could open up that cheeky left-hand position for Anakez.
Trying to find something here. The problem is they're smoked at the doors and the T's are not going to extend ahead of that smoke. No further opportunities. The taps will continue from Pleston. But just gaining nothing at all here. A man walks forward, FNX, caught off, okay. Finally, something decent for the City side. Fallen, putting the Notch Smoke back in as the 2 players look to cross. There's a crossfire, however, from Kriaz and co. They'll get Vinny, look for Fallen next. It's right below the Xbox. He does get his kill, but no more than that. Okay, 4 on 2, bomb drop, 20 seconds. Finest trying to pull this off.
Yeah, of course they have. They put so much pressure down, and it was obviously a very good read. You had a couple of mid players built in with a couple of aggressive short players. And just knowing that Imperial are trying to take back that Xbox control, they want to split up towards the A site when you've got that many players all around, and especially Anakez to make the info play and drop the bomb. It's wild to think he was the one that initiated the first duel, dropped the bomb. He somehow still found 2 in that round.
Let's go.
There you go. It's an important round for Finest to find in general. The Eagles doing work. It's a big recovery moment for them and everything. Again, they needed a round like that because had they let the conversion fall out, had they let the eco come to fruition, they would have been fighting for overtime from a 15-3 deficit, and that's just impossible. Put the onus back onto Imperial, who have their scout and their AK. Force buy in against them. Anakez will already take down Fallen, kick things off on the right foot.
And no respect come this round, really charging up from the top of the mid position, shows what Finest want to try and achieve in this second half. A nice kill down onto Fur, and pretty much that's all the rifles dealt with now.
Yeah, 2v5. Going for 1v5, FNX with a scout. Trying to look in, does do some damage to a player. Still being flanked, still being tagged up. Meanwhile, Vinny doesn't get caught off in the end, FNX will drop. That deal will be all that remains. The bomb in full CT control, no casualties taken. If they can keep it that way, that'd be great, and indeed they will be able to do so. So anti-force buy dealt with, and now comes the eco round for the Imperial side. Just that one. Just that one. That's all they need to take.
And what we've really seen from some of the underdog teams so far in the best of ones, Jay, is obviously having very small margins of breathing room. I think right here now for Finest, Imperial aren't up to 15, so you've got a little bit to work with. You're now getting a couple of rounds in a row. You've obviously reset the economy from Imperial, so it's going to have to be an eco round. They can't force again. And now, what I want to see is Finest comfortable, because that is the Finest that we've come here to see. Obviously, it's very difficult to say, right, just turn it on, just play comfortable, because it is a very fresh and new environment for this team and for some of the players. But if we see Finest play the comfortable style of Counter-Strike they play online, we might get more positivity and a better look for them.
Well, look, they've got reason to be positive now, right? They've got an opportunity to start to bring the comeback. They've won an all-important anti-eco. They've converted it off the back of that as well. Great chance now with only Glocks being pulled in, so they can work into the 6th round on their side. If they can do that, then it just starts to build the comeback, and that's all you need to do from here. Take it round by round, build in piece by piece. Come up with a game plan from there. So the nades already doing their damage. Bolts, Fallen, Vinny, all tagged up by a HE.
Yeah, fine. It's not getting too aggressive into the meta, trying to see if they can peek behind the incendiary, try and fight up towards that top-mid portion. As a whole, though, for Imperial, I'm not imagining too much success in a round like this. Kriaz maybe getting too hungry for the meta, going out towards a longhouse, but realizing probably doesn't need to continue peeking. They're going to peek out from mid instead, and they're really trying to show themselves here.
2, 3, easy frags. Bit overly aggressive still from Kriaz, and will get overwhelmed and lose his life, but Anarchez will have the Quadra. Have the round. Can he get the AK? They can get the AK. Yeah. It's Twist that gets it. And that's more than fine for Finest. Again, keep that AK in. Keep that firepower in play. Now use it against the firepower of Imperial, who are now buying into the AKs themselves.
I gotta think, as soon as they've got the money for it and they're in a situation, they're gonna get the double AWP, and here we are. That's exactly what we see. We know that Pleasant can double AWP. We know that Kriaz can double AWP. There is a few players on this Finest side that can pick up the big green.
Pass the parcel, except for adults. A lot more deadly at that as well. This will put on Anarchez and Pleasant for the time being. The AK will be over on Kriaz's part, so those are the guys you want to watch out for the most in this round. I'm going to play that AK aggressive again for Kriaz. He's pushed all the way up towards that longhouse angle. And in the last round, it didn't make a lot of sense because it was an eco basis. But if he can hold this angle and try and play off the shadows that the T-side players will make, that could be a great opening start and one that could catch Imperial off guard.
It's not even that. If they get enough information out towards mid, he can actually start walking forward and hope to catch a timing on a big backstab. And Pleston now starting to at least show the presence into mid. And Fur making noise. Kriaz would have heard that.
Those that are at least behind Car. It's just one set of footsteps. They won't have the info as to whether they're playing up towards mid itself. Anarchez will have the info that they're playing on short at least. Vinny forced him off angle. I don't think Fur made the noise of the rotation towards mid because Kriaz is not moving at all. Pleston's all posted aggressive. Bolt's looking to challenge, but he just can't find the inkling to do so.
I'm surprised how aggressive Pleston is, considering the HP bar's really important to be able to capitalize on this shot and bring that rotation in from Shocks too. Lurk smoke to the T's.
Shot will ring out, so they'll be aware that he's here on B. It's FNX to find Kriaz, meanwhile out towards short. Important start, but Pleston still one to work against. Flashbang evaded, almost lined up 2. Shocks will get the second man, and Fallen gets the trade. A 3-on-3. Shocks flash back in, we'll see 2, but struggles to find the spray, so Fallen can double up, and the man advantage takes the way of Imperial. 10 seconds though, the AWP's on site. Anarchez just got to stall for time, and he looks the wrong way at the wrong time. Fallen will get the kill and the plant down, and Twist will be up for the retake against 2. We'll see Fur as the smoke clears. Will he get the kill? His back will be turned towards Fallen. Now quick 180, trying to isolate the headshot, and he gets him at the right time as Fallen peeks into the spray. And it will be another round for Finest.
Just what they're looking for. And you could just get the sense that before that bomb even went down, they wanted to apply pressure. They don't want to play it passive. They don't want to play the 3v3 retake, slow it down, get the util set up. No, we want to get in there and make it chaotic. Make sure that that bomb doesn't go down, or if it does, it's going to get very pressured. Lovely clutch coming through from the most experienced man on the team of Twist, the caller.
Absolutely. Need him to lead from the front as well. Especially when some of your stars aren't quite performing in their own right. You need to see some leadership and turn the tide in this kind of a matchup. Finest up on the right position. In the right gear, if you will. Charging straight forward. And once again, opening the frag counts here in round 21. Pleston straight and Fallen. Talk about leaders. His leadership cut down in round 21.
Oh, Anika's double dipping back out here towards the lower tunnel, starting to get some comfortability. Got Plesser with the crossfires, and the Orpers, they're having a field day.
And Kriaz gets one of his own. Little piece of the pie. A small piece at that, because it's a 1v5 now for Vinny. And he might get no pie today. It was apple crumble and you missed out, sir. The number 8 Finest, and continuing to grind up. And they have done exactly what we talked about. Take it step by step, one round at a time. Let's see if you can just get any trade for Vinny. At least one player will fall in Kriaz. No more than that, though. The difference has been brought from, what was it, 13 to 3, so 10 round difference, only to 5 now.
It's been quite a lot, and often when we look at those one-sided scorelines, you lose Pistol, you can sometimes pack it in and say, all right, it's done, isn't it? But they lost Pistol, won the Force Buy, and they've been able to turn it around. Really feel the impact of that Deagle round where we saw the aggression out towards mid, we saw the aggression towards short, and scrambling the bomb in and around that Xbox position, and what that tail has been able to filter out to. Imperial, I wouldn't say they're probably sweating it, but they're in a position now where they realise we've got a game on our hands.
Indeed they do. Considering that we were writing them off for 12 to 3, we were just like, right, well, that's a shame. The CT side has really come alive. Maybe it's all in the CT halves today. Certainly on this map, you can make the argument. AWP have fallen again. Going to lose the fight in mid. Plessen legs him. Doesn't kill him this time. AWP forced to reposition and hold back passive. Evade those nades that are thrown out typically by the CT side. They've been using that same wombo combo over the course of this map. Not to affect in round 22 though.
And that's exactly what you want from your second AWPer, consistency. Always fighting in damage, looking for those mid picks, making it uncomfortable from the offense when it comes to the mid control, and then getting back passive when necessary. Shock's playing out towards the hugging the wall on that right-hand side perspective. Might get mollied on any sort of B contact, and Plessen's just allowing the walk forward in mid if it comes at all.
Give it up. Ooh, Kriaz with aggressive plays. Fur might catch him off. Yeah. Headshot, landed the wallbang. Dink down, left him at no HP, and now down a player on the CT side. An aggressive player that in the grand scale of things probably wasn't worth it. New smokes up. Vinny is also going to catch off Twist. Now it's all on Anikes, the AWP that has been so quiet throughout this game, really stepping up lately. Got one more kill to him, but unable to count for Vinny being so close, and Shocks will get dealt with by bolts. And it feels like that confidence just flows right back from Imperial at the drop of a dime.
Yeah, of course it does. And we always know that all you need is one good round in it, and it can reset your team. And right there from Finest, it came down to Kriaz, obviously walking forward. I think he's been very inconsistent with those long plays. On the anti-ecos, he's been finding success, but in the rifle rounds, he's been caught a couple of times. And now it comes down to the stance of, that was the start. That was really what drew it even further. And even falling into the mid-pick, it's Anika's this time, not Plessen.
He still wins it. And that's another obvious battle in mid that's gone the way of Finest, an important one. Cuts Imperial down, they lose the opening frag. And when Finest can't afford to make any mistakes, a play like that carries its risks. It's worked out well for them on this occasion. They just need to convert the round for it.
Start working back in towards that long take. You've got the angle out towards car. We haven't actually seen many defensive holds on the city side play from the car. In fact, the majority of the position's actually been taken by the T's in the post plant.
Reposition backup is on the way. Yes, behind the car, unmolotoved. Being watched here for Fur and Bolts. Will that stay the same? Not forever. Flash is still going to keep him blind, but they haven't checked it. Easy lineups and 2 kills that will go his way. FNX will make it a triple, in fact. And Vinny is left alone to fall alone. To fall down and leave Finest back within 5 again.
And that's got to feel good from Kriaz, because think about the perspective of him. He's almost thrown the round previously. He was the one that gave up that opening man advantage, which led into the 14th. Now, he's done himself a solid. He's done Finest a solid, really stepping up from that car position, not being checked, not being mollied, and having the trigger discipline to make an impactful play.
Yeah, beauty of a play at that. Perfect discipline, perfect accuracy. A missed shot from the AWP did give him up that triple. Should have been a double. Either way, it has gone the way of Finest, and that is the bottom line. Fur looking to make the kill against Kriaz's bottom line, but Plessen immediate responsives. The double orbs continuing to have impact for Finest. And Twist is looking for more. He'll fall back though, concede long control.
Ooh, Shox is in the upper tunnels and FNX is on the other side. This could be a slight misdirection because Shox is going to clear out all of this area and say there's no presence whatsoever. What he doesn't know about is FNX just on the other side towards T-spawn.
We'll have to try and protect this position. You're going to leave Anarchez out towards that mid control on catwalks who will watch for any T-side players that will come in from here, and Shox will maintain his position in the top of tunnels. Everybody else, A site locked and loaded. The only thing they're missing is an execute.
And they don't want to overpeak towards this long position either, because they want to put themselves in a state of being as defensive as possible. Even Twist is just trying to toy with them to set up Pleasant.
Keep your eyes on that mini-map as well. FNX looking to make plays. The question is, when does he strike? Fallen's going to strike first. Pleasant next to drop. The AWP taken back out of play, and now Anarchez is forced to try and join the A defensive. FNX back turn leaves Shox in with a decent kill. A 3-on-3 that throws no misdirection at all. The execution now forced to move forward from Imperial. They've got 2 CTs to deal with. Anarchez looking to go big again. Slowly walks, sees one, misses the shot though. Caught by inaccuracy and caught by a flashbang. Forced away behind the short boxes, looking for some harder cover. It's Vinny that moves in as Anarchez finally strikes on Fallen. Shox gets Vinny next. And bolts won't last long. 10 to the board of Finest, a moment's reprise as they continue to close the gap.
Mate, this was 13-3.
Yeah.
This is starting to really get out of hand now. And you just start thinking to yourself, like, is even that amount of rounds enough? Because this has been a crazy resurgence coming through from Finest, really sticking in. They've been winning a lot of opening duels. They're working with the information well. And for Anarchez's point of view, maybe it looked uncomfortable. The support was there.
Oh, Fallen, okay. We'll take that. Scout wins the mid-fight, but unfortunately 2 players fall in turn, so there's not really an advantage to speak of from Imperial because of that duel. Responded to so effectively. A P90 out for Kriaz. Need to hold out in the tunnels itself alongside Shox. Twist are going to be ready to receive as well on the A site. Got Fur and Fallen making their moves in, but the bomb's back over to that B tunnels on FNX.
Now, Twist getting that re-smoke in, and those rotations are so quick, aren't they? They're going to boost the AWP up.
Gets tagged, 3 peaks. Doesn't even land. Fallen again with a scout. A triple, in fact, with a headshot on Twist. The P90 is going to go for the engagement. And Shox has left the B site. Now FNX's chance to strike. The back's a turn. Oh, this is utterly perfect. He doesn't even strike. He's going to bait and switch. Oh, no. This is not good. Shox, is he ready? No, he's not. Imperial are about to steal this one.
Oh, no, it's an eco, Jay. There's such a light eco at that. Oh, that's heartbreaking. They've worked so hard in this second half to recover it, and they lose the match point to a round like this. Kriaz just got to hold on to the M for A1S, bring it into the next round. Oh, you feel for them. Imperial have got such a sick steal, and Fallen finds 3 on the scout. That's unreal.
Yeah.
No one could have seen that in a round like this.
He's had a blinder of a map. 29 frags. Now the AWP of Fur to close out against the save AWP attempt of Kriaz. And you're right, it is heartbreaking. An eco from Imperial going to get them up on map and match points. Oh, the money is okay, I believe, for Finest. I think they can just about scrape together a buy. The AWP really would have helped them. But they are in trouble, Dweg. They've been in trouble for a long time, and you saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That might get caved in very soon.
Yeah, you always have to entertain it when you've got a comeback like that. And sometimes if you lose the 15th to a rifle round, you can say, all right, fair play. We did this wrong. But when it's up against an eco, it hurts. It digs deep because you know that is the round you should never lose. That's the round in which you should never give up as an opportunity to the opposition. And it came off some excellent shooting. The opening pick to come through. Anarchez obviously missing that shot with the scout.
Oh.
That one there onto Twist. Poor. Banger.
Lightning fast.
That's not bad.
Now only 1 AWP for Anarchez here. 2 M4s. Shox and Twist. Setup not ideal for Finest, that's to say the least. Problems extend, but Anarchez takes one of those problems out of round 26. Vinny, first to fall.
And that's what you need in a round like this, where you know you're light on the weaponry. Try and get as much out of that AWP as possible. Fallen trying to see if he can open up the AWP. Oh! He gets the damage done, but Anarchez follows up again.
How did he get away with that? That is insane. And that is a lifeline gifted back to Finest. How lucky can one team get? Now reduced to FNX, Bolts and Fur, who are all unscathed to their credit. up against some very weak weapons depending on where they go to it. They're going to lean into the A side where there are 3 individuals. Kriaz with that FAMAS, AWP of Anarchez being so low, and Twist watching long. So it is not the ideal setup, honestly.
They're going to have to play it retake. They're going to have to give the respect up. It's difficult to fight when you're in a position like this. At least the information's coming over. How quickly do the rotates come in?
FAMAS ready to receive it. Goose, Anarchez. Hearing footsteps, turning away from what he thought was a flashbang. It was a Molotov towards Kriaz's position. Now he's sandwiched, now he's flanked. Twist forced to try and back in. Needs back up desperately. They are on the way. And Twist can't afford to go down. The bomb will get planted.
Getting to that AWP is going to be so difficult. Twist just really needs to find something here.
He's doing his damage, but Fur's alive, as is Bolts. Continuous taps. Now Plesser makes his way in. Deagle in hand. AWP on his back. And Smoke's starting to give a bit of harder cover. Spray back, got so much damage under those two. Twist going to take his chance as Blessing still strikes with the Deagle, gets them both, and keeps Finest alive.
Oh, little bit of luck coming through in that round. So much spam. Connections to low HP, but not enough to drop those players. Plesson finding a couple of kills with the dig. And keep in mind, in that round, we had the AWP for Anarchez. We had a couple of odd rifles here or there. Plesson was on a pistol, and he was the one that closed the round.
Watch how he did it as well. Straight through, headshot on one, tag up on the other. Low HP across both those two individuals. And another lifeline is gained, another chance for Finest to make this up. 4 to overtime. And then you've got to win that overtime as well. It's not an easy feat, it's still a long way back. And Imperial just need to get that one good round. They'll look for the first good frag on Fallen. Again with the AWP, this time placed out towards long. Planning to miss the smokes. Anarchez out towards mid will fall back. It's Kriaz, however, that strikes first.
Yeah, Fallen trying to play anti-flash, working in and around the smoke, get the pick, but not find the connection, so he has to try and fall back, and unfortunately just gets picked off in the process. Even that AWP being thrown further back, so no way that Imperial can try and recover it from Fur.
Maybe they can get it back in the hands of Plesson. That double AWP setup was working real well for them. He's on the opposite end of the map for now. Could be a worthy save as Twist takes points on the long defensive. Playing off-site anchor. Kriaz also in the pit, which he just is coming away. So no opportunities for Imperial to get any easy picks. And once again, they're down by 2.
Yeah, smartly played right now from Finest, holding on to quite a lot of their util. They're playing quite passively, directly in the site, in tow, not sort of over-facing at all. And Pleston just trying to see if he could spam up to the upper tunnels. As an overall picture, though, for Imperial, they need one of the defaulting players to just find some success.
Oh, and Pleston, I think he might have spotted FNX at the edge of the smoke, got that spray through wall, through smoke kill, but almost dealt with. Bolt certainly is. 23 HP for the last round of the T side, and it's going to be a perfect round as well for Finest. Not any damage being done. The confidence has returned. And the gap continues to close.
But the job's not done. That's what we know. 3-13 down to recover it into overtime would be one hell of a feat. And for a team participating at their first international LAN, you couldn't even imagine that. So keep that in mind of what the potential could be here from Finest, but they still need 3 more rounds. And knowing they're up against a hero rifle, this should be theirs for the taking.
Mac 10 and 3 Tech 9s with the Galil for Imperial. The setup is weak, and on paper, Finest should get to 14 before the next true guns come out. So long as they don't stumble at this hurdle, and we have seen them fall at the hands of upgrade pistols only so far in this map up. Is this going to be one of those occasions that seals the deal on their best of 1?
The rotation from Pleston is going to be out here to defend and B. Even the timing on that resmoke is going to cancel it for a moment. They've still got that lurker Fur outside of the longhouse towards top mid. Hasn't seen anything at the moment. He's just trying to sell some presence over to A, trying to over-rotate.
That man's going to land on Bolts pretty perfectly. The flashes go over and the T's will execute. Shocks, tanking damage for it. Ahead of the big box, Pleston with the kill. FNX with a responsive, and Bolt finds an angle at the edge of the smoke. A bit of a one-way there. Shocks didn't register. So once again, the B side has been busted open, and Anarchez is forced to make his way in. Sees 2 players, gets one. Completely unawares of the second man. Unfortunately, the nades back towards him won't do much. Bolt's tagged. Foe on the way. The backstab though, Twist has checked it, and that's all important. Now they're so heavily tagged up here from Imperial, but still fighting. Bolt's with a kill on the Mac 10. FNX rather. On his back. Looking for a decent angle here. Time's ticking.
Yeah, Anarcha's trying to get into the side, but he needs his teammate, needs anything, and the MAC-10's going to win it out. Kriaz now to clutch in a similar position for Twist to make the magic happen. No one peeking, no one overextending, just playing the timer. Kriaz doesn't quite find the jewel, and there it is from Imperial. They close when it matters the most, Jay. An awkward situation, but the job gets done, and the match is theirs.
What an effort from Finest to try and bring that back, but ultimately it was too little too late. And to think that is too little, right? Like, they did so much to get back in control of this, and just look how dejected they look here, Dwayne. That has got to be one of the most unfortunate losses, because once again it was a forced buy, and they've really got to pick that up if they want to try and continue on here in the championship.
Unreal. It's for them to come back 3-13. It sucks, but sometimes, Jay, it's just what happens.
It is what happens indeed, and what happens now as we head toward the desk with the second best hairstyle in the LAN. It's Park.
As Jay said, that is an unfortunate loss for Finest. They really clawed their way back into that matchup, but it was Imperial that got the deciding round, 16-12. Pavlos, Dinko, nonetheless, I am quite impressed by what I saw from Finest in their finest moments. Start the match, let's put that to the side. What can we take away in terms of positives for this team before we look at why Imperial won?
You're right to be impressed, because I think as soon as they were able